Crazy days. It is. Hey guys, Jacqueline Jax from AVA Live Radio. So this is live on air for Daily Jax. I have a variety of topics to talk to you guys about today on the Daily Jax. And one of them is, of course, Spotify, because Spotify just has a way of getting under our skin every time they make a move. All right, so Spotify, as you know, I really like Spotify. I get all my music there. I discover new music there. It's a great platform. However, they just don't always get it right, especially when it comes to the musicians who are actually making Spotify, I believe, what it is. But goes without saying, right? That it is what it is sometimes. You can't really change everybody because, I don't know, maybe in their mind, they think that they have a right to do whatever they want. Perhaps. Perhaps they do. Anyway, the story is this. Spotify CEO pledges to spend 1.2 billion of his personal fortune on European startups. Now, here's what has enraged musicians once again. Their view of his billions is that they helped him get there because Spotify was built as a music platform. And even though they have shifted to a lot of podcasting, including our podcast, which is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, and we love that. But we think that he could get it a little bit better by using some of this $1.2 billion in supporting indie music. Maybe even paying back a little more royalty money, because currently, if you look at the stats, I mean, how much does Spotify pay per 1,000 streams? Come on, guys. It's less than minimum wage. 1,000 streams is like $3.18 if you're lucky. But I mean, that's just so small. I mean, with COVID going on right now and so many people are hurting, doesn't it make sense that if you were going to take $1.2 billion of your money and invest it in something, why not invest it back into the Spotify music community? Why not invest it back into the people who made the money for you? Because that's what everybody is up in arms about. I mean, literally everybody's really, really upset about this. And I totally get it. I really do, because it just makes no sense. It's kind of like biting the hand that feeds you. Musicians are suffering. They have less gigs. Spotify could easily find ways to implement new technology in order to make more money for musicians. Like they could get some new technology in there that allows people to purchase or pushes them and inspires them to purchase the music from the musicians, thus producing more revenue, which would be good for him, but also great for musicians. I also was a little disappointed that over the years I had covered stories saying that Spotify was going to roll out some merchandise options where you could sell merchandise against the streams. So once somebody was listening to your music, maybe a pop-up would come up allowing people to purchase like the album or purchase a t-shirt or something to support the artist. And there would be some kind of encouragement there with that. But that didn't happen either. So like to take 1.6 or $1.2 billion of money earned as a result of Spotify and musicians that are currently suffering, when you don't spend any of that money on the community that supports you, that just makes no sense. Perhaps if enough of us do stories about this, he will change his mind and start to like see it a little bit differently. Currently, he intends on investing in European startups, mainly in like tech and I think it's health, but energy fields, medicine, and tech, I believe. Now, as far as tech, again, nothing is mentioned to support the musicians that got him this far. And I think that that's wrong. I think it would be really, really nice, again, if this 37-year-old Swedish amazing mogul in music has changed the life of so many musicians and gives back to the musicians that he's changed the life of. Now, this comes as a story that's new and on everybody's mind after a previous story that really angered musicians before back in August. I don't know if you guys remember something I covered in August, but Spotify was really angering musicians because they were saying that during the pandemic, they have seen less streaming success. And this was where a lot of things were up in arms. They weren't being able to get out there and do gigs. They were losing income. And a lot of musicians were having to quit the business altogether because they hadn't embraced online music marketing. So they really didn't know what they were going to do at that point, right? To be able to start infusing in their income. Well, what had happened is he came out and responded, and he said, recording music once every 3 to 4 years, I think that's going to be enough, is not the kind of thought process every musician should have. So if you want to make more money in streaming on Spotify, you need to produce more music. Now, instead, he could have said, and as a result of maybe once you hit 100,000 streams, maybe they'll pay you more of a royalty. That would have been a nice addition, and still even something they could still do. I mean, I still believe that if you are a musician just launching music and you're one of the 40,000 people launching a piece of music today, if you don't get a lot of streams, that's on you. But if you do get a lot of streams and you're bringing all those people to the platform, doesn't it make sense that if all the other apps are paying more because you're bringing people to the platform, Spotify should do it too? That's all I'm saying. I think that 1,000 streams equaling $3.18. Okay, if people are willing to live with that, which they're not, maybe they could get over that part if they knew that if they worked a little harder and got 25,000 streams, there would be a bonus. If they got 50,000 streams, there would be another bonus. Because after all, that is the musician or the marketing that the musician is doing, like the marketing that we do here at AVA Live Radio. We're bringing marketing and people and traffic to Spotify. Now, this is something that happened too that changed the way they built the platform. So they went from just streaming music and thinking about music videos to adding podcasting. And podcasting now is one of their largest revenues because it doesn't pay back as much money as it has to pay to artists, which isn't a lot at all. So you see where this is going, right? I mean, it's great to have these platforms. It's great to have this opportunity. And it's wonderful that they exist. And we are so lucky to have them. However, I think that there's this unbalanced meter of like, okay, it's great. We want you to launch more music here, but we're not going to give you any more money for launching more music, knowing that you're suffering. And as a musician, it's hard enough to figure out how to build your business as an entrepreneur these days, you know? I just think that this, on top of this past story in August, is really going to be the one that broke the camel's back for Spotify. And Daniel Ek is definitely going to get it for this one too, because, I mean, at the end of the day, that 1.2 billion, 1.3 billion, whatever it is, that should partially be invested back into making musicians have a little bit easier time and maybe even making them a little more money. Now, we did see some different industries in the music business, they gave back, and they gave back early. Like a lot of the royalties were paid early in some of the countries, especially here in Canada, because they knew that musicians were hurting. Now, in the US, I believe that some of the royalties were paid late. In fact, some of them not at all for several months, as they held back paying out those previous royalties earned even before COVID-19. That's also a story we covered here on the Daily Jacks. So you can see how a lot of unfairness has happened in the US as a result of music streaming, but also stretches across the globe as we go into this 2021. I mean, this is the first year of this new decade. I mean, 2020 into 2021, and already gigs have been removed. Musicians are having a tough time. They're really having to learn get re-educated about online streaming and online music business and online building a business and online entrepreneurship. They have to, because if you held on to your old ways, if you held on to the way that music used to be and the way that these businesses used to roll out, it will never work. You have to simply embrace the change. And this totally goes along with every business, every decade. There is always something that happens that forces you to update the way you do things. And you can choose not to, and you can quit altogether, or you can just move with the times and figure it out. I don't think, being that I'm in this story right now, Daniel Ek has done anything to contribute to that. I don't think at all. I think that he's built a great platform, and certainly it's working out for a lot of people who are working really hard at it. I still think that the streaming royalties are not nearly enough. There should be some kind of a scale established for people who are working extra hard at those streams and bringing in a lot of people to the platform. After all, Spotify, at the end of the day, you guys know, everything that goes on. You know who's streaming, who's bringing in, who's sharing, how they're sharing. You know if they're working hard to get their music out there, because you're actually taking all those insights and building out your playlist system. Because we know that like the new release radars and the fresh finds are directly affected by how many times an artist is mentioned out there on social media or in music blogs or starts to trend. So if they can track all that, then they certainly can easily track who's working really hard to promote their music and who's not. And thus, I think, at least, if nothing else, there should be some kind of a scale going up so that at least the people that are working hard can earn more money. I mean, that's a nice compromise, don't you think? It's fair. I think it's totally fair. If you guys think it's fair, then give us a thumbs up and let me know in the comments section. This is Jacqueline Jax for the Daily Jax on AVA Live Radio. Stay tuned for some good music, because I have so much good music to play for you guys, and I'm